Hello everybody, I'm Elena and I'm here to talk to you about arguably the most famous Roman mosaic in history. I'm speaking, of course, about the Alexander Mosaic, also known as the Battle of Issus Mosaic. But before we get into that, let's start with a little bit of context. Now, Alexander the Great was the proud son of Philip II, King of Macedonia. Alexander grew up a witness to his father conquering the Greek city-states, and he had every intention to expand on his father's success. When Philip died in 336 BCE, a then 20-year-old Alexander became king of Macedonia. As king, Alexander the Great effectively ran the largest and most disciplined army the Greek world had seen up to that point. And he had his sights set on the Persian Empire. The deep-rooted rivalry between Persia and the Greeks existed over a century before Alexander the Great was even born, and Alexander sought to exploit that to dismantle the Persian Empire, and he wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty to do it. Now, looking at this map, Alexander starts in the more northwestern end of Macedonia, and he makes his way down to conquer the most northwestern region of the Persian Empire, which the Persian king, Darius, doesn't think too much about because he's like, it's not that important. But then Alexander moves lower to Issus to confront the king of Persia directly. Bold move, very bold move, and it pays off. And that's really what the mosaic is showing. Now, this mosaic depicts one of the most important victories in Alexander's short lifetime. What we have still of the mosaic shows Alexander the Great on the left-hand side as his army triumphs over the Persians. The Persians on the right-hand side can be seen turned opposed to Alexander in retreat from the Macedonians as they gain the upper hand. King Darius III is shown above the struggling Persians, reaching back towards the battlefield as his chariot retreats. His eyes are wide with shock and intensity, as if to show the very important moment that he realizes he's lost this battle. The mosaic is an intensely detailed masterpiece with approximately 1.5 million tiles from all over the Mediterranean world. Now, these two quotes, I think, are very emblematic of the personalities that we see in the Alexander mosaic. Now, on Alexander's side, we have, in almost every major battle, Alexander personally led the cavalry, a quality that inspired loyalty and confidence in his men. Now, here we see Alexander do just that, and it clearly worked in his favor. He's on his high horse. He's a real standout where he is in the mosaic just because of how much of his surroundings are torn away and lost to time. But Alexander is definitely the obvious focus of this mosaic since he has the most detail out of any character, including Darius III, whose passage is in 332 BCE, the Persian king Darius III tried to make peace with Alexander. Now, I think this is really important to understand his shock in this portrait and just how overwhelming this loss is for him, because he was hoping to make a connection towards Alexander the Great, and he saw the potential that Alexander had, and he didn't want to be on the losing side of it. But Alexander was just so focused on conquering this part of the world that he was willing to villainize the Persians and completely shut them down to do it. Now, I really hope you enjoyed this presentation. This is one of my favorite pieces of ancient Roman art that is still standing. I think it's beautiful. I have so much respect for mosaic artists just because it's like pixel art, but so much more complicated because they're actual physical tiles that you need to attach to a wall. The fact that this thing is still standing is so spectacular to me. But I really do hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.